second for you. Getting closer.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Getting Close Up, the show focused on independent artists and creatives. I'm your host, Danielle Cox, and my next guest has traveled the world, entertaining comedians and just regular people alike with his own brand of relatable comedy. Today we are getting close up with B. Rich. Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me today.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and you are the first comedian that I'm speaking with.
Really?
So this is dope. Yeah, I was explicitly like, I need to talk to a comedian.
Okay.
I love the mind of a comedian. Honestly, y'all are some of the most intriguing people in the world to me for the way you see the world.
People. We're people. So we study people, we watch people, but I mean, we're not comics if somebody's not laughing. So it's always we're very engaging, usually. Yeah.
And that's the thing too, because sometimes there are people who are on, it seems like they're on all the time.
Yeah, I'm not him.
But comedians have there's a line.
Yes.
There's a delineation there. There's
yes.
a line of demarcation. This is my own persona and this is who I am.
Yeah. There's comedians, there's clowns. I'm not a clown.
No. You know what? That's it right there.
Very much me when
there's
I'm not
comedians
on stage. Yes.
and then there's clowns.
Yes.
And then going back to what I was saying about the way comedians see the world, in what ways has your unique perspective about the world informed your style of comedy?
I'd have to go all the way back to when I first started. The first thing I noticed, because I came up at a time when Def Comedy Jam, BET's Comic View, those were the hot button things at that point.
Everybody's watching it.
Right. So after auditioning for one of those, they started having these, let's just say, for lack of a better term, open mic situations at a couple of clubs over in Kansas City, Missouri, and shout out to Kansas City, Missouri, by the way. It's no. So before I say this, I have to put this disclaimer out there. There's no disrespect to anybody I'm naming, but if you've been to the place, you already know what it is. So
if you know, you know.
Yes, one of them was Tiger's Den. We did Tiger's Den on Tuesdays, and I believe Tiger's Den is off Troost. And then we did a place called Blues Alley off 39th in Indiana.
39th in Indiana?
Yeah, it was a little rough. So, and it's nothing
over there now?
Blues Alley. I don't know what it was called before then, but so there would be people in the audience literally playing pool. They're not listening to comedy. They don't care nothing about the fact that there's a comedy show going on. They're playing pool, listening to music, whatever. So we were disrupting their regular thing. So you get brought up in crowds, playing with crowds that are aggressive. Mm-hmm. By the time I got to playing a regular comedy club in front of regular comedy crowd, it was calm. It was like peace. I'm like, I'm not battling with anybody. I don't. But the other side calls you to know how to handle hecklers.
Yeah.
And disruptions in the audience and still go on with your art. So.
Because I gotta imagine they had to have given you a hard time.
Oh yes,
not that you're there because you were asked to be there by you didn't just pop up and take over the stage.
In their mind, they were like, I didn't ask you to come, so yeah, I didn't pay $2 to see you.
I
so
specifically did not ask you to come.
I'd rather play pool and listen to BB King. That's what I want to do on Thursdays, and you get past that, but it was a learning phase, but my upbringing caused me to be well rounded.
Yeah.
So when you only deal with one particular type of people, for lack of a better term, that's the only people that you know how to deal with.
Right. It stunts your toolkit basically of being able to deal with people.
I've never had the luxury of living like that. So because I've had to deal with all sorts of people my whole life, by the time I started doing comedy, the comedy is for all sorts of people, all ages. But I try to make it relatable to them so that you don't lose them. You're sitting there listening to somebody talk for 30, 45 minutes. You're like, is he talking to me?
Like,
yeah.
Is he talking to me? Is he talking to the air?
Right.
Is he looking straight to the back of the room?
Right.
Like, you want to feel like somebody is talking to you, even though you're just there with a room full of people.
Absolutely.
But you still want to feel that way.
Yeah.
And going back to your upbringing, as a kid, were you always told that you were funny? Like, were you kind of, what was your personality like?
That I was a quiet kid, a bookworm sort of kid. I was good in sports, so I grew up playing football from kindergarten all the way up through 7th grade. Then switched over to basketball, or started playing basketball also in the 5th grade. Even ran track for 1 year. So, you do your. No, I was not. I was never that kid. Now,
you wasn't getting in trouble because you was out being funny and being loud.
Not until probably, I would say probably 9th grade. You know what? I probably had to say when I was big enough to no longer get a whooping. I really wasn't too concerned about not cutting up in school.
That's the thing about the quiet ones. You were watching.
Yes.
You were waiting for your moment.
Yes. My father had the Red Fox records, the Bill Cosby records. So I listened to all of it. And that's not what you thought. But in class, yeah, I might have been that kid that we might have stabbed the class a couple of times because we might giggle a little too much or laugh a little too much. But nah, I know when to stop. Yeah, I always knew when to stop. When they said they were gonna call home, I'm good. I'm good. Don't call my mama. You can call my daddy. Matter of fact, you can have my daddy come get me, but do not call my mama, please.
Oh, don't call your mama, huh?
No.
She wasn't planned all of that. Period.
Oh, she was in shape long before aerobics. There was no such thing as aerobics, Tybo, none of that.
Tybo was gonna be whatever she did to you.
She had great range of motion with her arms. So I didn't. Don't call my mama, please.
I understand that. My mom had great aim.
Matter of fact, I don't even know what this is gonna air on, but she don't even need to know. To this day, she don't even know.
She don't need to know because she will come for you.
She might. Yeah, she might.
See, that's that love fear though.
Yeah, you gotta have fear of something. So
you got to.
Yes.
And that whole school experience was a big deal because, like, for me, I was kind of quiet too and stuff.
Right.
But for me, it was like when kids would go back and forth, and we call it ranking or ribbing on each other.
Playing the dozens
and things like that. And then somebody would say something about me because they think I'm quiet.
Right.
And then I get back with them because I was quiet too. And so I'm listening. I heard that the other girl said your mama got roaches.
Yeah.
You didn't think nobody heard that. I heard it.
Yeah. That's upbringing. I lived in a neighborhood where if you had to do one of three things to even go outside. You're either really good in sports, you're really good at talking about people, or you can fight.
Yep.
Well, I had 2 out of 3 lit, so I'm like, I'm cool. I didn't really want to fight next to nobody, but I knew I could do the other 2, so I could hold my own. And then that's really where it started. Being able to go back and forth with somebody without fear of what they might do.
Right.
Just even with that, there's still limits to that.
And there was still limits to that. But you get everybody laughing, that take whatever it was off of you.
Yes.
For that moment.
It's deflection. Not to mention that it's that coming of age thing. So somebody a long time ago, a good friend of mine, his name is Steve Nevels, and he's probably the biggest reason why I started doing comedy, because I used to watch his interaction with females when we worked at McDonald's together. And everybody loved this dude. I mean, like, girls would meet him for the first time and just love him. And I'm
thought he was a Big Mac.
And
you can see what they did there.
Yeah, on the Big Mac. So I'm like, why do y'all love Steve? Steve was just funny. Steve dressed real nice, and Steve was hilarious. I'm like, I'm gonna try it. He was right. Girls like funny guys.
They do like funny guys.
So not always. I mean, it's not 100%. Nothing's foolproof.
No.
So you can be funny and still be by yourself. Starting to let you know.
That's big facts.
Yeah.
So were there any like specific experiences from that time? Because you mentioned the Red Fox records, you mentioned what your dad used to play and stuff like that, that triggered you to see comedy in things. So, full disclosure, my father spent time in front of a camera also because he was a news reporter. Oh, okay.
So it was for a long time in my upbringing, that's what I thought I wanted to do. Then I was like, no, maybe I'll be on radio. I always knew I wanted to do something, talking to people, dealing with people, whatever. But I never actually had that voice. I didn't develop that voice to want to stand up and say anything in front of anybody till I was a teenager. But I had an uncle that also used to cut up at family reunions. It was his time to tell his jokes.
Ham.
Yes, to tell his jokes, and I admired that in him. So it's the culmination of watching and listening and waiting. And even the first time I did it, it did not go well. Oh, I don't know. I was like,
that goes into my next question. Everybody's got that one time I bombed story.
It was the very first time.
Ooh, how'd that go?
So it was a Def Jam audition at the Epicurean.
At the Ep, a Def Jam?
75th and Troost.
That's a sign of the times that you talked about.
It was October of '94.
That sounds about right.
And I was supposed to be comic number 13, but my nerves were getting the best of me. So I kept saying, oh, you can move me back. I'll go a little bit later. Well, the show was supposed to start at 6. It started at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, something like that. It started 2 hours late. So everybody's there has been drinking for 2 hours.
Oh, no.
And now I ended up being comic number 41.
Oh.
So by the time they got to me, they didn't want to hear anything I had to say. So there was a group of gentlemen. I don't know their names, but I know their faces when I see them. Matter of fact, it's funny because
it's etched into your memory banks.
Yeah, and also they became they follow me. Once I started climbing up and making it, they start supporting. But that first night, it was no love. Oh, they literally turned their chairs so the backs are now to the stage and gave me the finger.
Wait, so
they turned the chairs around.
They turned their chairs around and put they back. That is the most disrespectful.
Yeah, it was disrespectful. I didn't cry.
But it's disrespectful, but you gotta respect it on that level of disrespect.
All I know is I was done. I talked for maybe 45 seconds. Tony G, who used to be on Hot 103 Jams, was the host. And when he brought me up, I must have handed him that mic back in less than 90 seconds. I'm like, they're not listening. So instead of trying to talk over the crowd, I was done. I didn't want to do it no more. So I just went and sat down. Now, it broke me in that moment. For maybe 30 minutes, I was like, this ain't what you really need to do.
I can imagine.
However, the very next day, a man named Darren Fields called. Darren Fields used to have I can't think of the name of his comedy. It was a comedy collective of us, and he used to always host events and stuff around here. And Darren called and said, hey man, they didn't hear what you said. They didn't get a chance to hear you. I didn't get a chance to hear you. I would love to hear what you got to say. Why don't you come? And he was running the shows at Tiger's Den on Tuesdays and Blues Alley on Thursdays.
Heard you through all of that. The 45 seconds that you were up there and decided to give you a chance.
He gave me a call, and
that's wild.
It did not take long, and I was the strongest that he had coming to those events. That's
as impressive to me, if not slightly more, than the people who actually have the talent. People who can see talent.
Darren Fields was a big aid in getting me started. Yeah, big time. Because he had connections to people that I would have never gotten connections to, such as Bob Sumner from Def Jam or even the Comic View. When I did my Comic View audition, Darren put that show together.
Wow.
Had the video going, had sent the tapes, and BET bought it. So, yeah.
That's crazy to me. And so now that we're in this same vein of things, a lot of people, they probably struggle. They're trying to get into comedy. They probably struggle with trying to do that type 5.
Right.
How to get that in.
Right.
What is your preparation process like? Are you very methodical? Do you write everything down, or are you a kind of wing it, seat of your pants kind of person?
I will say this: when you were first starting, there's no such thing as winging it by the seat of your pants.
No.
Your pants aren't that big, and it won't last. You must write. You must write because you'll have 1,000 ideas, and they'll get whittled down. They'll get whittled down. You'll have a joke that you are ready to tell. You'll take one look in the crowd and I can't do that joke today. For whatever reason, you can't do that joke.
You got to be perceptive.
Yes.
That people watching kicks in that moment.
Know your audience.
Know your audience.
Because when you don't know your audience, you will fail.
They will show you who they are.
So write down as much as you can. Even record yourself if you can. Now, I never recorded myself. Just like standing in front of a mirror, standing in front of a camera and talking. I never did that kind of stuff. However, I did used to video a lot of my shows early on. And I would go back and watch those shows. And all I would listen for is the crowd response. I'm like, okay, the crowd responded to this. And it's the way that you're saying it, the tone. So you practice your tone, your delivery, your cadence, all that. And be you. Do not try to be another comic. That comic already exists.
And people will pick up on that.
Well, comics don't like it.
And
we don't
comics
like it.
don't like it.
We don't like it, and it will keep you from getting booked. It will keep you from getting paid, and it might get you jumped on. So yeah,
I've heard horror stories from other people that have tried to mess around with that, stealing a joke.
Yes, it goes hard. So if you want the respect of the game, then be a student of the game, study your craft, and go for it.
That's great advice, because like
Yeah.
I said, I've heard a ton of horror stories about people who didn't prepare, who thought just because enough people laughed at them at home, or their friends think they're funny, or they say some stuff,
Yeah.
off the cuff on their own, that they could get in front of a crowd.
I got friends that tell me that all the time.
Mm.
Well, you funny on stage, but I'm funny here. I'm like, I don't even argue. I say, okay.
Yeah, I'm not funny on purpose. Like, if I had to be funny on purpose, there's no way I could do that.
I don't need to be barbershop funny. I'm here to get my hair cut. So yeah.
Nope.
I got
leave
friends,
that to the professionals.
I
I'll
got
buy
friends
my
that tell me
ticket,
that all the time.
get my drink, and sit down and watch the
And
professionals.
you are truly by yourself. You are by yourself on that stage. I don't care if it's 20 people there or 20,000. You're by yourself. So there's no passing of the baton. So nobody's coming to save you.
No.
You got about a good 25 seconds to get them to start listening. And the whole rest of that time is you keeping them listening. Comedy's only 10% funny. The other 90% is crowd control. As long as you controlling that crowd, you good.
There was a quote I saw where it was a piece of advice that they gave. They said, when you're up there, you can't, if you start over explaining stuff, you're already dead in the water. You have to put it out there and then trust your audience will get it. And your confidence level in that, if you did everything else right, followed all the other steps that you talked about, will land it. Because I know, like, when you get certain comics that really know how to ride that wave of the audience, they'll tell them when to laugh. When Dave Chappelle takes his mic and does that thump thing, people may not even know what he said, but they see his reaction. They know he did that, and they laugh.
Right. There comes a point in their career where you're at that level. I'm not saying you don't have to work as hard, but they're gonna laugh because they pay money to see you. Your name is on the marquee.
Oh, they really did.
All that. But like you said, you have to take the time to listen to yourself, pause, give them a chance to respond, give them a chance to laugh without taking it too far.
Right.
A lot of times a comic will think or try to overthink that, because the crowd doesn't know when you mess up. They have no idea when you messed up. They don't know if you messed up the joke. They don't know if that's not what you're supposed to say. They don't know. So the best thing you can do is just keep going. Just keep going. Even if you think you bombed or you're bombing, keep going. Because unless they tell you to stop, or unless they tell you unless they're booing you, they cut your mic or something like that.
Somebody throw something at you.
And do your time. Do your time. That's the other. If I'm giving, and I don't want to sound like I'm giving all the advice.
No, that's great, because I'm literally was heading that way.
But if somebody tells you to do 10 minutes, do 10, not 12, not 14, not 5. They paid you to do 10, do 10.
Do 10.
But when you start going over your time, you're into the next person's time. So the next person was supposed to do 20. Now you can only do 17 because you're over time. And then the bigger the venue, the more strict that time constraint gets, because you're paying as union money you spending now.
How do you gauge that though? How are you able to gauge? Is it really just a practice thing?
It is.
Yeah.
Sometimes people ask for the light. They'll say, "Give me the light at 5 minutes," and it's time to wrap. And after you told the material enough time, you say, "Okay, I know I can get this joke off in approximately 4 minutes," given lead time for them to laugh, for you to interact with them or whatever. And stay on task. This isn't a music concert where you get people that can come and, you ever see a musician hold the mic out at the crowd sing along? That ain't comedy.
I had to do the crowd participation.
Yeah, they don't do that at a comedy show. So it's like, that's your mic.
If you do, you're done with that mic. You're not getting it back.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. So there's that.
Exactly. That's great advice. No, it really is, because I know there's a lot of people that they chomping at the bit to get it in there. Social media and stuff makes it easy for you to put yourself out there, and they may not understand what it takes to translate.
Right. And I'm not going to knock anything about social media. That's just that's not where I come from. That's not the way I grew up. There are those that are making a ton of money doing comedic skits, and they're so on and so forth in front of a camera.
It's just a whole nother genre.
Yes, stand-up is not the same thing. And there are those that are great at it. The Country Waynes of the world, the Desi Banks, and even DC Young Fly.
DC Young Fly.
Those guys, the skit, the work, and it takes work. I don't care if you are on a camera, to come up with comedic content over and over and over again and still be relevant and then be able to monetize that. I have nothing but respect for that.
Yep.
But it's not the stage. And sometimes you can see that there are comedians and then there are comedic actors. Well, comedic actors, everything is scripted. Somebody else wrote that. You just remember to say it, repeat it, they'll laugh and go on. When you're on that stage, you by yourself. So you either can do it or you can't. You know, I applaud that, but I didn't come from that.
Because it kind of it has changed the game a lot.
It has.
That whole it's kind of, that's a whole other beast in and of itself. Everything got its own beast because you have to continually put out a level of content continuously or you are forgotten.
So like in the music game, if you're a music artist right now and you're not touring, where's your money coming from? So it's like if you don't have the ability to have
people can only buy so many t-shirts.
You have to have a live stage show, or you're gonna start to lose fans because people are like, you can't perform live.
Right.
You can't perform live. So it's the same thing with comedy. Just flips. That could be funny as I'll get out on camera, but can you do it if I'm standing here in front of your face? You either can or you can't. And every show is not great, but every show is not a bomb. Even the ones that you think you bomb, if you go back and watch that show, you know, I always ask my wife, like, how you think it went? She'll say, it went great. I didn't feel like that. She'll say, well, why did you feel like that? I'm like, I just didn't feel that. She'll say, well, this part, and she'll start naming off the material. And then I'll say, yeah, I did. I do remember that response. So I can go home and say, scratch number 7, number 3, and number 9. We're not doing none of those no more.
Moving 2 to the top of the rotation.
Yes. And you do that. You'll find something that fits and you remember the crowd. Remember how many times you played a certain venue. Switch it up. You live every day. So every day you live, you have a chance to add to that repertoire. So I just tell them, just keep writing, man.
Keep writing.
You have enough in you to do it.
Exactly.
But
if you know you want to do it.
I heard you say 5 minutes. Where'd you get that from? Because that's everybody always, even a headliner. A headline gig is nothing but 12 5-minute bits. They'll take these bits or 12 5-minute bits or 23-minute bits. However you want to do it. It seems like it's a lot. It's really not. And when you can go off topic and come back and you're killing it.
Well, just from like...
we call them callbacks.
Just kind of like, you know, researching some things about the structure of it because it is very structured.
Yes.
It's not just you getting up and you being funny and it's chaos. No, it is incredibly structured. And then listening to, you know, some of my favorite comedians speak and talk about their process.
Right.
And so that's what made me want to ask you your perspective on it because I know that is part of it. Y'all, the comedians are the grinders in the entertainment industry. You go through the worst conditions most of the time. Yeah. And, you know, it'd be little payoff in the beginning and stuff, but it's something that has to come out of you. And it's something that it still drives you. Right. And that's impressive to me. For me, it is. Right. I love to laugh. I love comedy and I love the work that goes into it.
It's, you said the worst. I mean, and you said, we dealt with the worst. You know, every stage is not a real stage. You know what I'm saying?
Every stage is not a real stage.
I've been performing, literally looked out to the side like, did the stage just move? And people were like, yeah.
It's like 8 Home Depot buckets.
So y'all saw what I felt. Yeah, I don't want to be up here no more.
Yeah, I can't clap that loud. This is moving up here.
It's crazy if it's a stage at all. You know, I've gotten dressed in a liquor cabinet before, literally a liquor room. I laid my outfit over the top of. I don't even remember what it was, but it was not a dressing room at all. There was no green room.
It was a liquor closet.
There's been shows where you gotta go find the promoter. He's gone with your money. So I'm like, hey, you might want to get back, or I'm gonna start finding stuff in your club.
That's why comedians be having that little vein of thugginess in them too, because it's a cutthroat thing. It's you can't be playing.
I'm not from a neighborhood where you just take what you want from me. So
that's right.
I don't take that into no aspect of my life, not the comedy game or nothing like that. So yes, you have to have a little bit of now you know
greatness.
Why you know where I came from, you know why I'm here. So please let me go back to the same way I came in, or we're gonna have some problems up in there. Yes.
Or you're not gonna go back the same way you came in.
I ain't got all your money, man. Are y'all hungry? I'm not hungry. I'm gonna need that money.
I
Yeah.
want something for
Yeah.
my money.
Oh, they done paid us with chicken and spaghetti. I done went through all
with
of
chicken
that.
and spaghetti.
Yes, all of that. So it gets crazy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of performances, you performed for with a lot of big names in comedy. How
Right.
did that particular opportunity come about?
And they all came from different places. So, uh, the Temptations, I did the Temptations and the Supremes. Same day, it was Memorial Day at Royal Stadium.
Oh,
And to this day, that's still the biggest crowd I think I've ever performed in front. It's like 36,000.
seriously?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like 36, 38,000. It was almost sold out.
How did that go over for you?
It was scary, but it wasn't. It was cool because I knew that they were number one. I had an attentive audience. That I'm standing in the middle. I'm standing at the pitcher's mound.
Oh, they just are all on you, focused on you.
Yes, but the problem is that when you're in an arena that big, there's a delay. So what I'm saying is coming through the monitor, but they're not hearing it for another 2 seconds. So I just kept talking, and I didn't even give them a chance. I was already on to the next thing while they were still laughing at the last thing, and it just stuck like glue. So it went well.
Wow.
And I was doing it while they were doing the stage change up or set up. They were actually putting the stage together after the game, and they were behind me. So it's a lot of stuff moving behind me. But I was at the pitcher's mound doing it. So
that's a lot going on.
And everything comes from someplace else. So I ended up doing Anita Baker in the Essence Fest because I had done a show with her previously here, and the man just asked me, "Are you booked this weekend?" I was like, "Nah." And the next day they called, and you end up with a ticket. Isley Brothers, same way. I got that show because somebody else was actually supposed to be doing it, and they called and said, "Hey, can you be in Houston tomorrow?" Yes, I can be in Houston tomorrow. They send the ticket, and so on and so forth. So some stuff comes based because somebody's seen you.
Right.
Somebody has said he can hold it down. He can hold his own.
And then too, being professional.
Yeah.
Somebody say you can hold it down, and then they like, okay, they take that word off top because they know that they can trust that person that said that. So you have to have a certain level of being professional because you've been doing this a long time.
I have. So
you have.
With some of those big concerts, Newest Contemporary used to be one of the big promoters. And there was a guy out of St. Louis by the name Mike. His name is Mike Jackson of all things. So Mike worked one show. And what happened it happened to be Anita Baker here. And she was coming on late because I think they wanted the sun to go down. It was a starlight. They wanted the sun to go down. It was like it is today, 1,011 degrees.
It's 1,511 degrees outside.
Yes, it is set on Jamaica. Trust me. And she wanted the sun to go down. So the show started at 7, prompt. I'm out there for 15 minutes. I was only supposed to do a 20-minute set. And he literally is on the side of the stage going, psst, psst. So I looked at him, and I was like, so I looked at the crowd. So little things like that, I always play that back. It has to be part of the show now. So when he's
that makes sense.
Yeah. So I said, y'all can tell this is live entertainment. Hold on for just a second. And I set the mic down. I didn't make noise to set it down. And I walked over like I had an attitude. And he said, can you stretch? I said, what do you mean? You need more time, right? He said, yeah, how much more time you got? How much you need? He said, can you do another 15 minutes? I said, yeah. He said, but not right now.
Another 15.
He said, not right now. I'm going to pull you off and bring you back on right before she comes out.
Wow.
I said, that's cool. So I said, but that's going to cost you. He said, I got you. I picked the mic back up. I went back out there, picked the mic up, closed out. I knew I was coming back. They didn't know. The crowd didn't know that, though. So, but on the strength of that, he was like, the ability to think on the fly.
Right.
The ability to hold down, and you got the time to do it.
And remember that the audience is there.
Yes, I ended up getting other concerts that they promoted on the back of that.
That is something else.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, you've done a lot. You told us some great stories about your experiences. I appreciate that. You dropped some serious gems. What is next for you?
Wow. So, as in everything you do, there has to be growth. If you're not growing, you're probably dying. So
that's facts.
I spent the last 20 plus years in front of the camera, and I have to preface this to anybody that's looking to book me or whatever. I'm not saying I don't do comedy anymore, so please don't take that this way.
Right. Thanks for that disclaimer.
But then, I mean, what's next is I'm gonna transition to the other side. You know, there's promotions in my future, and good promotions. You know, things I always say, if I spend the money and time to buy a ticket to it, then I will promote that event. And I've done some already, but I'm right now I'm in the process of lining up investment teams and the strategies of how we want to attack it, and that's my next move. And I don't have to hire a host, so.
And you don't, because it's built in.
Yeah.
I mean,
some of them I will want to just kind of sit back and just let it ride, just watch it, let it be what it's gonna be. But big things. So all the connections I made with all the cats, a lot of the names that you were referencing. But I'm gonna reach out to those guys and women, and we're gonna continue to do what we do. Yeah.
That's what's up, because that's looking forward to the next set. So there's people you working with right now who are considered very promising.
Oh, yeah.
Like you've been imparting your wisdom onto them.
Oh yeah.
And you're gonna be integral, is just as the way your mentor was with you.
Yeah. And it's weird because I didn't actually have a comic mentor. There was no, and I'm not gonna say there weren't comics here. There were comics here, but nobody like took me under the wing and was like, hey man, you know, I had a few. Elliot 3 would be one of them. Because Eddie Griffin was already doing this thing by the time I came out, but Eddie was not here. I have worked with him several times, and he was, you know, gracious enough to allow me to be on the show. Great, they treated me with, you know, a lot of love backstage,
right.
all that. So, but they even different from that. So it's not even going to be all comedy. It'll be music.
Oh, okay.
It'll be all kind of stuff. So.
Oh, you really branching? Branching.
Yeah. People buy tickets. I mean, I just literally, I'm dressed. I just got off the road myself. So I'm like, okay, if people are buying tickets to see somebody else perform, might as well come to my event.
I know that's right. Well, tell people that are watching where they can keep up with you, where they can find out what's next.
If I have an event here in the city, or even out of the Kansas City area, I usually post my stuff on my Facebook page. It is under my legal name, so.
Government.
Under my government name. I ain't got no warrants or no back child support, so I'm good on that. It's for the Barton Richardson. So almost everything I have, I post there. My Instagram is Mr. Giggles 2. I don't really post my stuff. I don't really post next to anything on Instagram. However, that's that old
could
school
be
stuff.
Utilizing it later.
See what I'm saying?
Because that'll get it out there.
I really need a social media person to build that platform for me. But
it's important.
Yes, but if it's coming up in the city, the city will know. Yeah. I have multiple ways to get it out there. I use the radio station. I use whatever I got to do, but I'll get it out there.
Because you know the channels.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah, I've been with those been my same boys for years, you know, so yeah, they done left this radio station, went to another radio station. I know how to get it out if I need to get it out. Yes. That's
what's up. Again, I thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You have been great, dropping all kinds of wisdom.
Appreciate you.
And I know it's going to help somebody, so I appreciate that.
I hope so. if there's anything that I can help you with, again, on my social media, on that Facebook, my number's on there. So I mean what I say. Ask any comic I've ever worked with. If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, I got you.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys, for watching. Again, his information will be in the description box below so that you can keep up with him and reach out. If you had as much fun as we did today, make sure that you like, you share, you comment, and you subscribe so we can keep bringing it to you. New episodes of Getting Close Up airs bi-weekly on Fridays. And also make sure that you check out GCU Review with me and Dee, where we give you the tea on what's hot and what's not. You know we got it for you every single time. I thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you again soon for another close up. I'll be checking for you.